So thanks for inviting us to come visit Classic Home. How was Vegas for you guys last week?
Vegas was it was a really good market. We have business has been a little tough, and going through this the first time in 2008, 2009 when we started. At the time, what we figured out, what actually pulled us out was introducing new and exciting product and bringing lots of stuff to the table. So this market, we came back with one of our largest introductions that we've had over the summertime, and it's proved to be our best Vegas market that we've had in the summer to date, and in the top 5 total markets that we've ever had in Vegas.
Wow. Now, you have a very unique positioning in the marketplace. Tell me a little bit about, for people who maybe are not as familiar with Classic Home, tell me a little bit about your philosophy and unique point of view on the market, because you have very eclectic offering, really unique product, really broad assortment. Well, let me not say it.
Well, I think, to be honest, I think we can be whoever we want to be. A lot of our customers come to us because they feel we're out there in the front, we're the leading edge of design when it comes to mixing and merchandising product. When you see us, we're not afraid to put modern with casual or country or anything. We mix everything together, and our job is to take everything, mix it all together, and make it look good.
Mm-hmm. Give us an example. We're in your showroom. Let's take a look at that.
If you take a look here, for instance, this is a Motion. Motion's been one of our fastest growing categories that we've had. About 2 years ago, Classic Home decided that we were going to expand and we were going to grow at a relatively rapid rate. Well, when you decide you want to make decisions like that, you have to get into different categories that maybe you hadn't been in the past. Mm-hmm. So our whole philosophy was to go ahead, get into something different, make it look like Classic Home, and then give our customers an opportunity for Motion product. Here you look over here, and this is our Getty. It was one of our best-selling frames. If you look at this, you maybe wouldn't think this is the Motion sofa.
Well, no, I mean, based on that leg design, I wouldn't think that was Motion at all.
Yeah, so the idea behind it is to give you the looks that are Classic Home, and then giving you an opportunity to put Motion into the actual environment.
Mm-hmm. And how do you find what is your perception of how Motion is performing for you, and what do you think the opportunity is there?
Well, it's probably our fastest growing category. We started it 2 years ago. And then back in January, we made the decision that we were going to go ahead and we were going to grow the Motion as a category. Mm-hmm. So we started a new division called Classic Motion. And the idea behind the Classic Motion is, while giving you product that is what I would call motion-related recliners and so on and so forth, trying to keep the fashion forward, mm-hmm. so that we don't run into copying everybody else and doing our own thing. So our idea was to go ahead and come out with unique and different styles that maybe target the next generation. The recliner customer is getting older, so we're trying to figure out a way that we can go ahead and get that next generation recliner customer.
Well, these are not in any way classic, what you would consider classic recliner looks, right?
So if you take here, this is going to be a basic sofa or a basic chair that we've taken, and we tuck the ottoman in the back, and the reason we do that is to go ahead and hide the ottoman to get it to look more like stationary product. And then we'll put in features and benefits like, TV headrests and power headrests on stuff. And the idea behind it is to get you comfortable, giving you exactly what it is that what you're looking for in a little bit of a unique and different.
Now that's a very contemporary looking Motion piece, but when I look at how you have it accessorized here, I mean, you've got it next to a very rustic multimedia table here.
Mm-hmm. And then the same thing on the chairs. Your chairs are pretty fashion forward with the metal frames and so on and so forth. And the idea behind it is, like I said, we go from rugs to ceiling to chandeliers to everything. And our idea is that we're not really afraid to mix anything together.
Mm-hmm. Now, you also do a one-of-a-kind business also, mm-hmm. right?
Yeah,
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we probably have, I'm going to say, 10 or 12 people that we have that basically in India, that's all they do is they shop. It's one of those exciting jobs that maybe you'd like to have someday. If you have to go over there, going over there to look for things would be kind of an interesting job.
Sounds like fun.
So we've got people that literally, that's all they do all day long, is go into these warehouses and find these unique and different one-of-a-kind pieces.
Is India a growing part of your business? Are you finding that to be a new source country for you?
Well, we've been in India for about 25 years.
Really?
So we originated in India a long time ago. We've added facilities now in India to go ahead and shorten cycle times and all that stuff and better our efficiencies and to get better at India, just because India on its own has its own set of unique differences, from logistics and shipping to all the other stuff that happens coming out of India.
Mm-hmm. Can you show me an example of a part of your assortment from India?
Okay, as you take a look, we mix everything in and out of here. Off of the back here, for instance, here we have, this is the bike that we've turned into an actual, a bike console. And the idea behind it is you're taking, you're out there, you're buying the bikes. The bikes are, laying along the side of the road. They're everywhere. And we just have people that are going out there picking them up. We're adding a few embellishments. We've got to get it off the floor and we've got to make it stable. So we'll add pieces like this. And then we'll put unique and different tops where we'll actually use one-of-a-kind pieces. We'll cut them, put them into this basic little console, and then we go ahead and we craft it into furniture.
Now, are these things that you find at existing factories in India, or are these designs that your own team develops in-house?
These are things that we develop usually in-house, but then as things happen, how the industry kind of morphs itself. Mm-hmm. As things happen, you'll see variations of things that come off in other places and other people. But our whole concept is to come out with things first and to kind of have unique and different looks. As we saw the bike laying there, so we decided let's go ahead and make a table out of it.
I so admire people who have the ability to look at something like that and turn it into something else.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing I can say about Harpal, our owner. He has vision that is just second to none with a lot of people. So he sees things, and all of a sudden they become something completely different. And that's kind of what he's passed on to everybody.
Well, it's a real cutting edge, right? Avant-garde table, and I don't know, maybe you would see it too, but if I was walking down the street, I'd just kind of see, oh, look, an old bike on the road.
Yeah. So he just decided to take it and put it to good use.
Can you show us around the showroom here?
Sure.
What else do we have? I notice a lot of pillows and a lot of accents.
Well,
you have a very diverse business.
We have 5 factories in India, with a 6th one coming online. We have an upholstery we have a textile factory where we take all the pillows and we weave all the different top of bed, all the pillows and so on and so forth. And then we have a rug factory, and then we have 3 furniture factories. So the idea behind it is it allows us to go ahead and develop really, really interesting pillows. So if you take a look here, and you look at the pillow, this pillow is completely hand embroidered in our factory in India. So the idea behind it is to go ahead and give you natural product, completely all hand done, at an exceptional value. Okay, so all of our pillows will have something, whether there's a couple different sizes, different shapes, all hand embroidered. We'll put beads on things. I mean, we'll do whatever we have to do to give it a unique and different look.
How do you work in terms of what you think is trending, what's not trending? Do you try to be very attuned to what the Pantone color of the year is, or just do you have more of a kind of a classic home look and you work within your own styles?
Well, both. We'll do, we do work with Pantone colors as closely as we can, in a lot of our development. We want to make sure though that the tones and everything are right so that all of our stuff mixes together. Because when you take a look at it, it's really about the tonal value of the fabrics and all the different things that allows you to mix modern with traditional, with contemporary. I mean, we could do anything that we needed to do. And as long as you keep your tonal values on your fabrics and your covers, you can mix a lot of things together relatively easily. So you'll see, we do work with Pantone colors, we do work with a lot of other variances, but we make sure that the base colors and the tonal values all match together very nicely, so as you start to layer things in, it all layers very, very well together.
How do you help your retailers work through that kind of a thing? Because if you have a very diverse assortment, if you're a retailer and you go to somebody who's offering a new bedroom suit, a new dining room suit, you're picking a collection, right? That's very, I don't want to say simple, but it's very direct. Right. All of the pieces are designed to go together. You have a slightly different merchandising model. How do people shop you, and how do you work with them to help them put together? I mean, is it more of an item business, or how do you find that people shop Classic Home?
Well, it's interesting. It is kind of an item business, but the last few markets we've focused on taking vignettes, putting our best foot forward, and then explaining how the whole vignette comes together. Last market in January, we introduced Northwest Origins. This market, we introduced Desert Modern. And the idea behind it is what we'll do is we'll put together a lot of different trends. Our marketing department does excessive amount of research to develop colors, trends, style, and so on and so forth. So what we'll do is we'll actually go ahead and we'll put together what we would have our customer trend boards and so on and so forth that allows them to go ahead and pick paint color, pick all that. As a matter of fact, I was working on it over here.
Can we take a look?
Over, take a look.
Yeah, that'd be great. Coincidentally, it says inspired lifestyle trends.
Yeah. We're in the market. I'm in the process of actually working with one of my customers, and some of our customers want us to go ahead and put together lifestyle vignettes. Mm-hmm. So the idea behind it is it allows me to come in here, it allows me to pull pieces, take a look at ideas, and kind of work them all together. So we can kind of scroll down through here. Here's an inspired lifestyle trend. Talks a little bit about, this is one of the things our customers can actually log into. If they need inspiration or they want to recreate a look or whatever, if they're an account of ours, they can log into our website, get themselves logged in, and all of the information that we're perusing right now is in there for them.
Not just for the general public, though. You have to be logged in. It has to be a
logged
customer.
in. You have to be an account of ours, but you can go in to pick up all of this information. So if you go down through here, you'll see Northwest Origin. It'll talk a little bit about the collaboration of the origin, where it all comes from. So as you scroll down through, you'll get some inspiration photos. Here's some color palettes, some of the Pantone color you may see up here. You may see some different options that we chose to want to work into when we start with our collections. Scroll on down.
Okay, there it is, the color palette. It's got accessories, plants you can use.
Mm-hmm. And we'll put all that in there for them. It allows them to go ahead and literally take the look and recreate it as close as possible in the store. Because I think we've talked about it, or it's not always the easiest to recreate something when you take it from a showroom and put it into the customer's stores. The idea here is to go ahead and try to make it as seamless as possible, so that they can come in and they can recreate the look if they want to go ahead and spend the time to do that.
As a consumer with limited skills putting rooms together, I have to tell you, this is very handy kind of stuff to be able to do that. Even from a consumer standpoint, it's one thing to go buy furniture, but then to accessorize the room and figure out the plants and how to tie it all together. I mean, you've got rugs, furniture, lighting.
And we spend a lot of time on a lot of the social media. So what you'll see is, we'll put up on Pinterest, we'll put up a lot of our boards and a lot of our stuff that we're doing.
Oh yeah.
As you take a look, here's a Pinterest board. So nice thing about it from a standpoint of our customers, they can click on it. It'll open up a bunch of different opportunities for them to take a look. Here you go.
And he'll just edit that.
So these are a lot of the inspiration boards that you'll see, but we'll give you color. We'll get our, different places where we get our energy from, and that's kind of how we do it. And we've got multiple different collections. So if you go back through, we've got Northwest Origins. Mm-hmm. We just introduced Desert Modern. We've got Coastal View. We've got Downtown Escape. There's a bunch of different avenues when we go ahead when we start to set ourselves up.
Now, when you say those things, though, Classic Home has a kind of unique perspective on those things, right? So when you say desert, that doesn't necessarily mean the classic Southwest look that everybody thinks about or something like that. It's a unique take on the colors, the styles, and the.
Right. It's basically, it would be our interpretation of, Desert Modern. Everybody's got a different perception of what they think, and our whole perception here is this is our perception. We want to make sure we don't want to pigeonhole us into one segment of the United States. So we'll make sure when we call it modern or desert modern, we're just taking finishes, taking colors, and blending things together. I could see a lot of our desert modern, dropping in Florida. For instance, it could sit just about anywhere. It's basically about a look.
Now, speaking of not getting pigeonholed, you also do a pretty significant one-of-a-kind business, right?
Yeah.
Can you take us back and show us some?
Yeah, because that's always evolving. One-of-a-kind business is always evolving. So let's go back. This is part of our warehouse, and we do spatter things throughout. but we've got a dedicated space where we take all of our one-of-a-kinds, and then we go ahead and we'll put it into, kind of set it up, more of a, what I would call a warehouse or flea market type process, kind of giving you a little bit of things to take a look at as you go through. We do have events that happen periodically over the course of the year. We've got one coming up in the about the third week of August, and then we have another one coming up the end of October to the first part of November. And what we'll do there is we'll invite our customers in, because we'll have, we're bringing in containers, and we know we've got a bunch of containers coming in of one-of-a-kinds in the next 2 weeks. And then again, we'll bring in more product as we come in for the middle to latter part of October. And what we'll do is we'll actually invite, and we fly our customers in, and they have to purchase a certain amount of product, but we'll cover all that. We'll cover their hotel, we cover their airfare, and we'll do all that stuff, because this really is the place to shop this kind of product.
Well, this feels like a treasure hunt, right? I mean, you kind of feel like you want to go down each aisle and look at each piece. Now, some of these look like antiques. Are they actual antiques? Or are they made from antique wood?
If they're one of a kinds, then those are going to be actual antiques that we found out there in the marketplace. We also have another process of what we call a sum of a kind. And a sum of a kind is things that we've learned over the course of years of doing one of a kinds. I can use this piece over here as an example as an effective sum of a kind. Here we're traveling, we're finding 4 doors. So what we'll do with these 4 doors is we'll make this particular console out of it. So though the frame and everything that you see is new, the doors are all antique doors, and we've decided we're going to build a console out of these doors. So the idea behind it is everything is usually plus or minus 2 to 6 inches, because you don't really know how big the doors are going to be.
Right.
And that's how we set everything up. So we have our one-of-a-kinds, which are truly unique items, and then we have our some-of-a-kinds, which are best-selling items that we've recreated using antique and one-of-a-kind pieces that we put together to make a piece of furniture.
That's a great upcycling story. Recycling, I mean, particularly I think so many millennial consumers today really seem to like the idea of sustainability and reusability and recycling things. I mean, you're taking things that would otherwise basically be in a landfill or just be lost, and turning them into some really beautiful furniture. That's a really interesting model.
Yeah, if you go through if you've been in India before and you kind of go through there and you'll look along the side of the road and there's just miles and miles of stuff. There's miles of trim, miles of hardware, miles of all the stuff that they just have ripped out of the old buildings. It's laying along the side, and our people actually will come in, they'll pick it up, they'll buy it in the bundle, and then they'll go ahead and we'll recreate furniture out of it.
Oh, that has to be a fun process.
Yeah. That's one of those things that if you ever had to be over, that would be one of those jobs. I think I would love one of those jobs, actually, because it would allow you to go over there and be creative and do whatever you have to do.
I would love to have the ability to see that, right? I mean, just to be able to walk along the side of a road, see something, and recognize the potential for it to be furniture.
But if you take a look here, this is the piece of molding when you take a look here. So this cabinet here, piece of molding, tops, this one's sold. But this is what happens is we'll find this piece of trim someplace, and then we'll just go ahead and we'll find these posts, and we'll just recreate it and we'll make a piece of furniture out of it.
That's terrific.
I mean, the results are endless. I mean, you can do whatever you want when you start looking at things like that.
I would guess that that's a really good knockoff insurance.
It
Very hard for somebody to copy and duplicate
to come in
that.
and go ahead and replicate that. They can replicate the shape, but it's kind of difficult for anybody to replicate the actual piece of furniture.
Sure. Well, you can't get the patina, the look, the feel, all of those.
And a lot of the pieces, like here's another console, here's a 3-door. A lot of the colors will vary off the actual door panel itself. So if you've got a panel that's got a little more green or a little more other color, what'll happen is then the whole cabinet kind of takes on the color of the door. And that's done in order to go ahead and keep everything nice and clean and keep it unique, and it's still giving you the one-of-a-kind look that you have. But you'll see there's pieces here,
Look
true
at this.
one-of-a-kinds.
Well, this looks like a
Yeah, that's
really
an actual ox cart. Ox cart front. We've actually turned, if you take a look at the back, we've turned it into a console. So the idea behind it is you go ahead and you start off as an ox cart. We tear the ox cart down, and then we go ahead and off the back we'll make a functional piece.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Really, really fascinating.
But we do, and like I said, this is always evolving. This business, we've got this is over here. If you come down here, take a look here. This is actually what they used to call a wedding sofa, and we do extremely well with these. Originally they would come through and they'd have handles that you would actually slide underneath there and pick them up, so you could actually carry them. And here, you fill these up with pillows, and you go ahead and everything's a little bit unique and different to the piece. But this is the basic shape, and we buy a lot of these. We go through a lot of these pieces.
Really?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting.
Well, I mean, it has great color, and consumers like self-expression, right? You never want to walk into someone's house and see the same thing in their house that you have in yours. And if you buy a piece like this, you pretty much guaranteed that you've got a really unique piece that expresses your own personal identity.
Here's an actual piece of molding that we found. We basically, it was an actual door frame. So what we did is we cut the base off, and now we've gone ahead and converted it into more of a console. But this started out as a very large door with the trim wrapped all the way around it. They cut it off, dropped it down, and now it's actually a console.
Now, is that done by designers in India, or is it done by,
It's done by our group in India. The guys the people there are phenomenal. So they'll see something, they'll say, okay, we can do this, we can take this down, we can make whatever they want out of it.
That's an interesting business model. It really is.
It's been successful. I know that's what helped us out of 2008, 9, and 10. When you go back and we got into the reclaimed and then got into some of the one-of-a-kind, some-of-a-kind items. And at that time, it was unique and different.
Now,
that's what pulled us out.
Traditional furniture retailers, forecasting is a big thing, right? You have to recognize what your potential volume is going forward, and what you need to buy, right? I need to buy more of this finish or that finish. Your business model doesn't seem to be in any way shaped by those kinds of factors. It seems to be, I don't know whether it's a little more independent of that, whether you have to worry about that. I mean, how do you, from a business model standpoint, how do you create a model and a structure around such unique product?
Well, you do have to control your finishes and all the stuff that you were talking about.
Okay.
So what we'll do, especially in this category of what I call some of a kinds and one of a kinds, you have to control, your door panels, and you got to control what you're buying, but everything is going to have its own unique color. When you get into our regular line, and it's the regular division line, then that's held to a different standard of quality and color efficiencies and making sure that everything runs down the line, because I understand it, you can't have cocktail tables and all this stuff that don't match, because it creates a whole nother problem logistically from their warehouses.
Sure.
and our customers.
Do you find that this really helps kind of reinforce your brand identity? And because when I think of Classic Home, I do think of kind of unique, eclectic, the antithesis of matchy-matchy.
Yeah,
and I mean that in the most complimentary way.
It does help our brand, because when you take a look and you start to look at what it is that we do, we showed you a few pieces in the showroom, but if you ever get a chance and you come into the Vegas showroom or any of that, where you'll see larger vignettes that are put together with an accent piece here, one-of-a-kind piece here. That stuff kind of comes together in the showrooms, and that definitely helps our brand, because that allows us to take our finishes that we know here, our stuff that we do that's unique, mix in existing colors, and that is all from finish and tonal value, and I mean all the way from rugs to fabrics to top of bed. When you look at it, you can throw a lot of our stuff together, and at least the tonal value works great together, and that actually helps the brand immensely. So, and they're very good at it. So, this is what we would call some of a kind. You're going to get a panel, or you're going to get something like that. But it changes. Everything changes a little bit.
Now, in terms of the more basic part, the base part of your business, right? The things that are not some of a kind, one of a kinds. How do you look at product development, and how you want to look at what's coming next, or what you want to identify as the hot category, the hot product?
Well, we'll take a look at a few key retailers that we look at. We can probably go about as far in front of anybody as far as a manufacturer.
Right.
We can probably go as far as any manufacturer can go and still be comfortable. So as we start to look for next trends, and all of that. We'll see it in magazines. You'll see it with, you know, design shots. You'll see it, and then we'll follow that trend. You know, whatever we think that we like, and then we're going to take and we're going to put a classic home spin on it to make sure that it actually works with what it is that we're doing as a company.
How would you define the classic home spin? What's hardest question?
This is the hardest question.
I know.
I would say our classic home spin is we can be whoever we want to be at any given time. We can change on a dime if we see a different trend or something that we think may be emerging. And as long as we keep all of our colors and all of our tonal value together, we can be whoever we wanted to be. I mean, I'm a firm believer if we wanted to bring out lucite, we could bring lucite out and we could make it look like it does in our showroom.
Well, call us back for that one. I want to see that.
Okay, I will.
We're here in your headquarters, and this is your warehouse. Do you have other warehouses around the country, or is this the primary place from where you ship?
This is the primary place from where we ship. So, at this particular stage.
Well, it sounds like
it's
you're
a large warehouse, but you know, this is where we come.
Well,
up
I
with
mean,
it.
it also sounds like you're wrestling in a good way with very rapid growth. I mean, you're opening up a sixth factory. You don't do that if you don't have the ability to sell the product that comes out, right? I mean, you're entering a brand new category with Motion.
It's kind of an exciting time, actually.
Yeah.
So it's good. And once, you know, the one thing about once Classic Home gets on board with something, it's like pedal to the metal, and we're going to go forward. So that's actually exciting about it.
Well, cool. Thanks for taking the time with
Thanks.
us.
It was nice meeting you.